We're here because free speech is under attack. We're here because people are being convinced that socialism works. We're here because people are being judged guilty until proven innocent. We are fighting back with facts. This is not a safe zone, so buckle up, Buttercup. This is the raw, naked truth.
Welcome to the Raw Naked Truth. I'm your host, Eric Lopkin. Joe Biden recently said that Americans don't understand the supply chain. Aside from insulting the intelligence of the American public, his comments have shown that he doesn't understand what's going on with the supply chain or inflation. So let's discuss the truth about what's going on with the economy. Let's start with the California ports. What is occurring right now is not simply supply and demand. It is the result of years of bad decisions. For instance, we'll take a look at the California labor unions. For years, the unions have been fighting against modernization of the ports. More automation means more goods being offloaded. The unions are dedicated to keeping outdated systems in place so that their members don't have to learn new skills. They have held up progress and caused supply chain issues for the entire nation rather than facing the fact that their members need to enter the 21st century. On top of the long-term issue, Biden recently told the country that he had the ports stay open 24 hours. While this may be true, the union recently stated that their members would not work these overnight shifts. The unions have held to the same hours, completely undercutting Biden's meager efforts. California as a whole has been trying to hang on to outdated ways of doing things. Recently, they passed laws aimed at limiting gig work. Those laws force gig workers to be considered employees rather than independent contractors, undercutting the fact that people who have chosen to be gig workers want the freedom that goes along with being an independent contractor. The result of this, aside from affecting companies like Uber and Instacart, is that the trucking industry has been thrown into chaos. Most truckers are independent. They work for themselves, not another company. California's regulations prohibit these independent truckers from picking up cargo at California ports. Fewer trucks means the supply chain is slowed down even further. Another factor in the supply chain crisis is the amount of products being manufactured overseas. Progressive policies on minimum wage and taxing businesses have raised the cost of producing goods in America to the point where it's cheaper to produce them overseas and ship them here. Jen Psaki stated that she didn't think businesses would pass on the cost of higher taxes to their customers, showing she doesn't know basic economics. But companies really don't want to raise prices on consumers if they don't have to. To avoid doing that, they ship the jobs overseas. If the government wants to make a major impact on supply chain problems, although admittedly not quickly, they would make policies to make production in the United States cheaper. The big policy would be not treating businesses like their personal piggy bank and lowering taxes, fees, and regulations that all raise the cost of doing business in the United States. All of these policies contribute to inflation. While inflation is caused by supply and demand, there are other factors as well. However, the Biden administration has done more to push inflation up than just ignore supply chain issues. What the Biden administration refuses to discuss is that at the core of the ongoing inflation is the cost of fuel. Factories run on fuel. Ships run on fuel. Trucks run on fuel. Plastic components are manufactured from oil. When Biden restricted where American companies could drill, he reduced the supply of oil and natural gas, causing the price to go up. When the Biden administration looks to close pipelines, it raises the cost of oil and natural gas even further. The decisions the Biden administration has made to constrain the American fuel supply has caused runaway inflation. Biden could reverse these decisions, but he refuses to. Now, the socialist left will argue that the actions of the unions were to ensure that their members had good-paying jobs. They will claim that the fuel decisions were to stave off climate change. While they may believe that, the facts don't support it. The decisions of the union has caused higher costs for all the goods that come through these ports. These higher costs have actually offset any gains in union wages. The more inflation rises, the less a dollar buys, and in fact makes it more difficult for people to afford what they need. So by keeping their wages high and keeping more people employed, they've actually caused prices to rise to the point where they actually counteract any benefits that union wages provided. The climate change argument doesn't hold water either. Biden removed objections to a Russian pipeline that both the Obama and Trump administrations were opposed to. He has also pled with OPEC to increase supply. These actions would counteract any climate benefit from closing the drilling here. So obviously, he wants to make it look like America is doing something about climate change, but not actually deal with the consequences of his decisions. Overall, we live in a global economy and a global environment. Increasing production overseas will harm climate change just as much as closing any pipelines and drilling here helps it. So these decisions were obviously not meant to help climate change because his subsequent decisions have just counteracted that. When you look at the facts, it becomes obvious that the ones who don't understand the supply chain and inflation are the liberal left. The Biden administration has the tools to reverse the problem, but they refuse to acknowledge it. That's the raw, naked truth. You can catch the Raw Naked Truth as well as the rest of the Xvadio podcast network at xvadio.com/podcasts, as well as the Apple Podcast app, Google Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, Amazon Music, Audible, and wherever you find podcasts. We'll see you next time.